1989 season dawned, there was only one new book musical on the horizon, and that book musical was Legs Diamond.
Legs Diamond. Okay, so Legs Diamond was a gangster in 1920s New York. Like, it sounds like a drag queen name. Who committed several serious crimes and murders. Serious. He was known as Legs because of how quickly he could escape his enemies. He was shot in 1931.
This very true story about a gangster was made into a musical, written by and starring Peter Allen, writer of such songs as I Honestly Love You and Don't Cry Out Loud. The Niederland organization was the muscle here, loving the idea of this guy who could sell out Radio City, playing a notorious popular figure in a new American musical.
And do you guys remember Peter Allen? Now, if you were casting a musical about a real-life Lothario gangster, wouldn't you think of Peter Allen right away?
Wait for it.
Sensible red pantsuit and shoes from Payless. Betty had a pair of jellies. No, just kidding. I love Peter Allen.
There's some great people he could have started. I don't know, like Peter Allen and his friend, Charles Suppan, started writing the book of the show, thus making Charles Suppan the only librettist in Broadway history who also won the Cody Award for Women's Wear Fashion. After a while, the producers brought Harvey Firestein on board to write the book instead. It was Harvey's idea to make his hero a hooker in Prohibition era New York who only becomes a gangster to break into showbiz.
I said right away, I'm not going to write a musical about a guy who goes around killing people.
As the only new book musical on the horizon when the 1988-1989 season began, Legs Diamond built up a huge advance sale. And they chose not to have a tryout out of town, mostly because of the complicated technology they were using, and then they ended up canceling the first week of previews.
With all eyes in town on them, Legs Diamond started previews at the Mark Hellinger, now the Times Square Church. We're going to get to that. That is one of my favorite slides ever. If you look on the right, that's actually Lerner and Lowe talking in the lobby of the Hellinger during My Fair Lady. My Fair Lady's going on inside, they're talking in the lobby. It's amazing. Beautiful theater. During previews of Legs Diamond, two main characters were cut from the show. Not actors, the characters were cut completely from the script. Legs Diamond's brother and his wife were cut entirely. There were so many switches and firings that the actors' names on the billboards in front of the Hellinger were actually on individual stickers so they could be easily removed or changed. On hot days, these pieces would melt.
Jennifer, we have the original director of Legs Diamond sitting here.
Hello.
Just hang out at Caroline's on a Monday night.
You would think I would be humiliated, but I think we're going to power through.
Sometimes we gotta do that.
I'm going to talk about this for a long time.
Yeah, remember that time?
Alright.
So his wife was cut out of the script. Probably a good idea.
Alright. On hot days, the adhesive would melt and the cast labels would dangle carelessly from the poster.
But ticket buyers were still very excited to see the most anticipated new musical of the season, and one critic reported, a final confirmation of the show's unstoppability and celebrity factor, the Stage Deli unveiled the latest addition to their menu, the Peter Allen sandwich. But then, the word on the street was that the Peter Allen sandwich could have written a better show than Peter Allen. That was a quote, I didn't make that up. The director went on record saying, oh my god! So you said this, if you remember it or not. I can honestly say that absolutely nothing went on with this show that hasn't happened in 100 other big musicals, only it usually happens out of town.
You know this happens every day, all eyes on town in one show. Richard Rogers once went on record saying, I wouldn't open a can of sardines without taking it to Boston first.
Richard Rogers. The new opening, Just Get My Name in Lights, was put in an hour before the Thanksgiving performance, and the stage manager had a yellow loose-leaf sheet on it with lyrics on it to call the cues. Live theater.
Gypsy Rose. In the New York Times, Frank Rich said, sometimes Sometimes Legs wants to be a song and dance man with his name in lights. Sometimes he wants to commit an apparently victimless crime, so he trades comic insults with Dems and Dose guys in pinstripes. Sometimes he performs an utterly impersonal duet with one of his leading ladies, either Julie Wilson or Randall Edwards, in indiscriminate alternations. I guess that means Legs pines for romance.
Some critics usually actually compared the show to Springtime for Hitler. Rich said, Mr. Allen isn't playing a character unless it's the Joel Grey MC from Cabaret without the makeup. After all of their support of the show, the Nederlanders announced after opening that as soon as Legs closed, the theater would be leased to the Times Square Church. They had flop after flop, and theaters at this time weren't in demand, and the theater where My Fair Lady premiered would no longer be a Broadway theater.
Devastated.
Boo.
Still sad. Every girl's sad about this. I love, you guys, I don't think I've ever said this on stage or one of our concerts, but the Mark Hellinger is actually, now that it's time for church, it's open. You can like go in and pray. But instead of going in and praying, sometimes I go in and I put on like fade out, fade in or rags on my iPod and I sit there pretending I'm praying, like pretending I'm watching the show. I don't think I can get any more embarrassed, so I decided to say it. On closing night, Peter Allen thanked everybody, saying, I guess I'm not going to be able to do this at the Tonys. So he had a good sense of humor about it. He never got his Broadway hit, unfortunately. Peter Allen died 3 years later at the age of 48. 12 years after that, the story of Peter Allen's life opened on Broadway using all his own songs, including several that were very wonderful in White Diamond. The Boy from Oz was a huge hit. The last line of White Diamond, the last line of the script, Peter Allen said, I may not be the smartest guy in town, but I know an exit line when I hear one. I'm in showbiz, you know.
And here to sing The Man Nobody Could Love from Legs Diamond, Carrie Heffernan, Alison Robinson, and Jennifer Wren.
If you have notes for us after this, we can take the stage right
I need a drink, maybe a creme de menthe frappe. I'd like a perfect poussey cafe. We'll have a ride on the rocks too. 3 ways. He's the kind I should have gave up yesterday. I always feared his heart might stray. Stray, hell, it's been up and down Broadway. Of late he's near, just for the occasional matinee. He says he's at the ball game every day. Girl, I think he stole